Hello again, everyone. Wish Doctor here, looking at the markets, and I'm currently looking at the intra-week activity of the major currencies that we watch. And as you can see here, we are looking at the 4-hour charts of these currencies. You can see on the far left, you got the dollar index futures, and of course, like I was saying, the 4-hour chart. So this basically allows us to see last week and this week. You got the yen, Swiss franc, and the Canadian across the top, euro, pound, Australian dollar across the bottom. And all of these are corresponding. You can see here the 4-hour chart. But the important thing here is that what I'm looking at is this dashed line, which shows you the separation between this week and last week. And then also I identified last week's high. So you can see here on the dollar, for instance, you got last week's high right here. You got last week's low. And really what I'm monitoring is the price action based on that. So you got last week's high, and as you can see, this right here is last week's closing price. But most importantly, what I'm looking at here is notice the fact that this week the dollar index futures is really in a counter trend type of scenario. You can see the dramatic push down that we had last week, and now we have this retracement that the market is presenting us. So the question here is to whether or not we're going to continue to move to the downside after we break through the bottom end of this channel, or if we're going to continue to chop in this channel for the rest of the week and then proceed to break down. But overall, the expectation here is that we came to the downside here, pushing lower last week. We expect a little bit of consolidation, as you can see what we're getting right now, and then I expect that the resumption of the trend should be at a higher probability, and that we should go back down to the 78.72 level, which is a low going further. But as you can see right now, the characteristic of this week has just been a little bit of consolidation. Now, if we do continue to break to the upside, that'll be a different story, and we'll talk about that in the premium video. But along the side here, we got the yen here, which has tried to break out of last week's trading range. As you can see, you got last week's low, you got last week's high, and we have broken above it, and now we've retraced down to it, expecting this to be support, even though right now it looks like we're trying to break through it. But if we do continue to stay below it, then be on alert for this thing to continue to move lower. If we can stay above it, then expect this market to rally back up to the 79.20. As you can see here, you got the Swiss franc, and take a look at the last week's low, last week's high. This is pretty much a consolidation here. This is what we call an inside week. And sure enough, it's the same scenario that is setting up here in the dollar index. You got the inside week. And the important thing here to notice is that you have this sideways consolidation. Is not as sharp to the upside as the dollar is. The dollar is more of an angle to the upside, but overall you got this confirmation between what you're looking at here in the dollar, and you can compare what you're looking at in the Swiss franc. And overall, what's the expectation is that you had this downward move last week, and we should expect some more downward move after the consolidation is complete. Looking for this market to push down to the 92.50 area. You got the Canadian dollar here as it stands. Most important thing here, inside week, but we're also trading a little bit more to the upside than the Swiss franc here. But overall, as you can see, another inside week. At some point when this trend resumes, I imagine that we're going to either push down below this consolidation area and then charge that 96.30. If we do not, then we'll have to reevaluate the idea and start to look for this thing to rally. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Got the euro here, and we're basically trading inside of last week, as you can see, using last week's high as resistance. You can see last week's high right here, and this week it is about the same high. Nice resistance at 31.66, and we continue to proceed back to the downside. And as it stands right now, as long as we continue to push lower, then I wouldn't be surprised if we do crack this 130 area. But the resumption of the trend should be what we should expect at some point, considering that's how this market has evolved. We push up going into this consolidation. This looks like a flagging pattern. We should expect the market to resume to the upside, but there are some very key important levels of resistance in the euro, which we'll talk about in the premium video. We're going to take a look here at the pound. You can see that the pound has basically rolled off of the highs as well. There's some key levels of resistance up here, but notice that we used last week's high as resistance, not able to break above that level, but these are all good selling points, and you had a nice push to the downside today. Now I'm looking to see if this market continues to push lower and confirms what you're looking at here in the pound. Remember, the dollar index futures should move in the same direction as the yen, the Swissy, and the Canadian. Of course, the yen here is a misfit as of late, but you can see here the pound and the euro move in the opposite direction of the dollar. So as the dollar is consolidating to the upside, we can expect here that the pound consolidates to the downside. You got the Australian dollar here. You notice that we basically are inside last week as well, but we did use last week's high as resistance, and the market has steadily sold off ever since. But you know, over the past couple of sessions, we are starting to try to put in some sort of a bottom here, but not really expecting this market to get too aggressive anytime right now. But you know, the idea here is that we've been consolidating lower, looking to see if we can break up here and then continue back to the upside, push back up towards this 106 and change. You know, it's basically a continuation of the up move. But again, you looking at what the euro and the pound are doing, it appears that we're in a consolidation mode / pullback, and as governed by the dollar index, you can see a big dramatic push last week. We're in this consolidation, counter trend consolidation back to the upside, looking to see if we do break to the downside. If that happens, we expect the Swiss franc to continue lower. We expect the Canadian to drop. We also got the euro that'll break to the upside, or excuse me, if that continues, then the euro will go back to the upside. The pound will break above this consolidation area, and the same thing with the Australian dollar. But you know, what's the risk mitigation? We'll talk a little bit about that in the premium video. So that's all I got for this market wrap, folks. This is Wish Doctor signing off. I hope it helps. Good luck in your trading. Stay safe out there. Best regards to all, and we'll see you at the next market wrap. While I got you here, I wanted to take a quick moment to say that if you really liked what you're looking at here in the free Forex market wrap video, I wanted to give you the opportunity to come take a look at the premium weekly Forex market wrap video that I do every week. And basically, it's a little bit more in depth, or should I say a lot more in depth information about the markets that I cover. And you can see here that in this short video, I go over the basics about what I've been looking at on the major currencies. In the more in-depth market wrap video, I take a look at a in-depth analysis on the 6 major currency pairs. You also get actionable trading scenarios. The important thing here is that we're offering a 3-day risk-free trial, so you don't have to pay a cent. It's about a 30 to 45 minute video that'll go through all the major currency pairs that I look at, and it shows you a lot more in-depth analysis and forecast, looking at the longer term picture and the big major trends that are affecting what you're looking at on the lower time frames that you're looking at on a day-to-day basis. So take a moment to go take a look at the premium market wrap video. You can see the link here provided, www.traderstouch.com/3day, and it also includes a free membership to the Traders Learning Network, where you can meet other traders that are like-minded individuals, and they're basically there to help everybody looking at the same markets as you. So good luck, hope it helps, and look forward to seeing you on the inside.